Hey everybody, I'm Rick St. Clair, host of Listen Up Elora, and today I have with me the mighty talented Lee Watson. Lee, tell us about you.
Well, I'm down here in my laboratory, uh, workshop studio, getting ready to release some new music and looking forward to the Listen Up Alora #2 tomorrow night.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for your performance and for you to meet Jordan Fay, who's going to be opening up for you. You're going to be headlining tomorrow night. But before we get into that, let's maybe talk about some of your previous works. We'll take a walk down memory lane all the way back to 2006. You were playing in a band called The Brakemen,
That's right.
and you actually had a record called The Brakemen.
Yeah.
And it was released 20 years ago this July. So tell me about that project. Tell me what was going on in your life at that time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was tree planting on the West Coast, and I'd been playing music for a long time by that point, and was writing my own songs and had made some EPs and was kind of getting out there and going to local open stages and booking small concerts and stuff like that. And during my tree planting season, maybe it was 2005, maybe earlier. I'd heard of a guy named Archie Pateman, which he was supposed to be the best musician on the tree planting circuit,
Yeah.
and so I met up with him and we hit it off, and we were singing harmonies and playing songs together. And there was a few other guys around, and we put a band together and got right at it.
Yeah, tree planting I think is a really cool and noble cause, and it makes sense that it would attract really cool characters, right? So that's a really cool way to like meet somebody and start a band.
Yeah.
And so, what was the music scene like on the West Coast at that time, right? With bluegrass, old time music, folk, beyond the tree planting sort of scene that you had, like what was it like more broadly in Western Canada?
So that would have been pretty soon after, um, maybe not like right after "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," but
Yeah.
we definitely, got into that scene kind of through I guess, the exposure that that movie gave to acoustic music and bluegrass
Yeah.
and um, and roots music. Um, and we kind of rode on the coattails a little bit, I think, and just really got into it. And there was a lot going on in Victoria where I lived, um, in acoustic music and songwriting. Um, Logan's was a popular place to go and play an open stage, hosted by Carolyn Mark there,
Yeah.
which I did. And there was a bluegrass club in Victoria and in Vancouver that we were all part of. And all the people that were involved with those clubs really helped out um, in the beginning of the Breakman, uh, uh, hosting our concerts. And I actually got a bursary to go to bluegrass camp through the Victoria Bluegrass Association around that time. So yeah, there was a lot going on, and we were going out every night and playing bluegrass and roots music. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I like the sounds of everything you're talking about there, like really grassroots bluegrass, right?
Mhm.
And a really nice community around the music.
Yeah.
And I do remember when that movie Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out, and I had a copy of the CD. I think I bought from like a used CD store for like $5, and it was like some of the best $5 I've ever spent.
Yeah.
So yeah, really amazing music, amazing movie. So that's cool. Talking about a couple of tracks on that record, Leaving on a Midnight Train, I believe that's you singing on that track. Just really wanted to highlight the beautiful vocal inflections, like very high and lonesome sound. Really, really nice. You had another tune, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. I was curious, who played fiddle on that track?
Sarah Dougal.
Okay.
Sarah Donald, sorry.
Yeah, that's
Sarah
okay.
Donald. I'm getting two fiddlers mixed up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe they like
Sarah Donald, yeah, she was a friend of ours, and we at that time the Brakemen were we did a lot of shows on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, and she lived nearby and would hang out, and she was there for the time we were making the record and played on that song.
yeah, really nice playing, and the vocals sound immaculate too. So yeah, fast forwarding a little bit now to 2008, you had a record called "When You Leave Town." What struck me when I first came across this record was the album cover, the photo. Really wanted to know about that. Where was that taken? It almost looks like, you know, like out of a zombie movie or post-apocalyptic or something like that. But thought it was really cool. So
Yeah, it's that. So we were having a hard time getting the design done for that. Actually, I remember. Um, and we had a designer lined up, and we were waiting for some, examples or some early, uh, you know, mock-ups, and they just weren't coming, and we were getting closer and closer to our deadline for release. And on a whim, I reached out to a friend of mine actually who lives in Guelph, Ian Brewster, uh, and he had some great photos that he'd taken on a trip. I think it was North Carolina or South Carolina where
okay.
that was taken. Um, and we ended up using a bunch of his photos from that area and that trip for the whole CD because we didn't make anything else at the time. Design.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you can't see that with the digital streaming platform, but if you ever get, I'll get you a copy of the CD and you can see all the other photos.
I would love to see that.
They're
Yeah.
all abandoned spaces.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
See, so like when I spent some time in Halton Hills, we had this old mill that everyone, young people used to hang out at and, partake in a little bit of drinking and other, activities. But a lot of
Okay.
people actually came to explore there, a lot of urban explorers and things like that. So I love that stuff. I kind of grew up with that. And yeah, you're just kind of bored in a small town. You go to abandoned houses and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Really love it. And I really appreciate that approach where, because uh, you weren't using CGI or anything. That's just a real photo. So that's really cool that you're able to put that together. Um, so yeah, there's I think if I'm not mistaken, a self-titled song with clawhammer banjo, which I guess is a little bit of a different styling compared to the first record, which seems to be more of like a, finger picking bluegrass style.
Yeah.
Was it a different player?
Yeah. So we had two banjo players in the band. Archie
Wow.
Pateman played mostly like Scruggs-ish style.
Yep.
Yeah, but though he had his own and has his own take on it. And Ben Rogalski, one of the other guys in the band, he would play tenor banjo sometime. That he played some tenor banjo on the first album, and he played clawhammer banjo on the second album. I think on any of the songs that had clawhammer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I love both styles. Like I
yeah,
started in bluegrass myself and then got into clawhammer just out of the appreciation of the repertoire and being able to. It's a little bit easier to sing and play, right?
hmm
But yeah, I love both sounds, so that's really cool. Two banjo players in the band. That's awesome. Never enough banjo in my books. I like the banjo special that they do with the Transac, right? So usually
yeah.
there's four banjos on stage.
Well,
Uh,
we were taking notes from Old Crow Medicine Show, and they had, you know, I think they had two banjo players at least, sometimes at the same time. So why
okay.
not?
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. But that makes sense. Yeah. Hospital Moon, that's another track on that record. I got a sense of maybe a Townes Van Zandt influence. Not sure if you're a
Yeah,
fan of
uh,
his music,
y-
but
yeah, absolutely. Archie wrote that song with Mark Berube, a great songwriter and friend of ours from that time. Um, and yeah, there was a lot of Townes Van Zandt being listened to in our uh, Chevy Bel Air that we toured around in, and
awesome.
it, I I can't speak for Archie, entirely, but I know he was influenced by Townes Van Zandt for sure, and just was really into the poetic, uh, lyrical approach at the time.
Totally. Yeah,
Always
it's
put
a
his soul and his you know and his life into those songs. So
I love that. I love that. And of course, myself, a big Towns Van Zandt fan. Um, so going now to 2011, you had another record called Heartwood, which seemed to be sort of a departure from the trad sound, a little bit more into, what people I guess used the term at the time, indie folk, right? Or maybe just modern folk. I don't know. But yeah, wanted to get into that sort of progression and what your thinking was around that.
yeah, around that time we played a lot of bigger folk festivals in Canada, and we would always get put in the party tent or
Mm.
on stage in workshops with um, like full electric bands.
Right.
And so we would, set up our thing, which was like usually a single mic. Maybe by that time we had some pickups and DIs on the acoustic instruments,
Okay.
probably if we were playing
Nice.
these stages. Um, but we couldn't really shake the feeling of, being drowned out whenever a band that had a Telecaster and drums and electric bass, uh, went on before us or followed up. And, we'd made those two albums that were mostly acoustic, and we just wanted to try, our hand at something a little bit different from what we'd
Yeah.
done before. Um, so we all became Telecaster players
Yeah.
and made an album with more electric guitar on it, really.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Bob Dylan did it, right? So,
Yeah.
you can kind of let yourself be free and creative in that way. And I still think that the records really sit well together, right? So it's not really all that far of a departure. But was curious about your personal experience and what kind of drove you towards that, right? I had come across a Guelph Today article where you talk a little bit about expanding your songwriting palette, and trying, some different sounds, still within the same vein of folk music more broadly, though, right? So you had in 2017 now, we fast forward, you had a record titled Lee Watson, which is a self-titled record. And I believe it was put out on a record label, Dead Radio Love. So tell me about that.
Well, I just kind of moved to Elora. It was supposed to be for a year and ended up being until now, um,
Okay.
at that time. And got involved in the music community here. And it turns out that a few of the folks from Riverfest, not everyone from Riverfest, but a few of them wanted to help me out in making an album, and so uh, they talked about making a record label, and that became Dead Radio Love.
Cool.
Um, Short-lived, unfortunately, but they did put out two releases, um, and we had a lot of fun making it. It was a really like fully thought out and talked over uh, concept for the design of that. We all worked on that together. Um,
Yeah.
it was really fun, a collaborative process with those guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, actually, you gave me a copy of that record, and I love it. I wanted to zoom in on a particular tune, which is accessible on streaming platforms still, Falling South. Um, a beautiful, beautiful sound, and wanted to get into the storytelling in that tune. It seems to communicate themes of place, creativity, escaping the winter, or maybe escaping something else, a past being reborn. I wondered, what's the story?
Well, that song in particular, I wrote. I was inspired by the story of Tom Thompson's uh, death in Algonquin Park and how it was claimed to be murder, or uh, some say it wasn't. But uh, so that's where the concept for that song came about. Not really focusing on the death part, though it's in there in a way.
Mhm.
Uh, it was more his story leading up to that, how he would travel north and um, make his small paintings, sketches,
Right.
um, you know, in the wild, and then take those back to his studio in Toronto and um, work them up into bigger pieces that he would show there. Um, yeah, and I guess he wasn't, as well known um, before he died as he is now, and that's a part of the story as well.
Yeah, see, so
Part of the
that,
song.
yeah, getting that backstory on that, which, when you're listening to it, you certainly get a melancholy. In some of the interview, you talk about, when you write music, you kind of like to paint pictures. And so I actually feel in a similar way when I watch Twin Peaks. I'm a big David Lynch fan, right? So a lot of his works, he actually kind of talks about that too. His cinematography is very much like painting pictures. So there's a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion behind all the words and the soundscapes and how that all comes together. So really, really like that track. The structure of the verses and everything. It's like one big feeling, one big hook. Really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. So now fast forwarding to 2023, let's talk about fellow camper. I actually met you and Ben at a house party with John Showman, I think before Riverfest,
Yep.
and met you guys together right there. And yeah, just wanted you to talk about that project and your experiences with that.
Yeah. So Ben and I were actually fellow campers at the same summer camp,
Okay.
years apart. Um, he's a few years younger than I am. Um, but we ended up connecting there at a reunion kind of thing, and singing around the campfire and just hit it off. We felt that we had a great vocal blend and we just have a similar uh, taste in music.
Mhm.
So yeah, we started that harmony singing project. Really, that was the idea from the get go. Though now it's morphed into a classic country band somehow. I guess we started out playing country music, went into some deep folk harmony, and then came out the other end playing country music again. So
I love that expression of free will and creativity where, you're a musician, you like a lot of different things and sounds, and you adapt to, what's needed or what works at the time. And again, it still all connects to the same sort of roots music and folk music, right? But yeah, really, really beautiful singing. There's a track, Satellites, really like the metaphor there. And I think you might have worked with Meredith Moon, also an amazing musician and cut from a really fine cloth, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Herself, right? I was actually just watching a video on YouTube, and I think she was performing for like a Stumpin' Tom Connors tribute at the Horseshoe Tavern.
Mhm.
She was doing a song, a couple of his tunes, I think, but one, Prairie Moon, which is one of Stumpin' Tom's tunes, and she's singing into the Ear Trumpet Labs Myrtle mic, which is what I like to use in you
Yeah.
know, the live shows. And if you would like to use it, you're welcome to use it on Friday.
Oh,
Uh,
sounds fun.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Now, in our present day, right, for tomorrow, what music do you got going on? You said you mentioned you're gonna have some new music out. What can people expect to hear?
Well, I'm working on 4 songs for sure that I started recording in December in Vancouver at a friend of mine, John Ram's studio Afterlife. Um, I'm finishing those up at the end of March.
Nice.
So those are going to be released hopefully in May. I can't promise what time, but I really want to get those out uh, for the spring
Yeah.
at some point. And that might turn into an album. It might be an EP. I'm not sure yet. It's kind of evolving uh,
Yeah.
as we speak.
Yeah. I love that.
Um, but I
Yeah.
have, yeah, a big list of songs that I'm going through um, for that project. I'll be performing most of those not all of them, but mostly, I guess, what I'll be performing are those songs. Um, and I've got a few Brakeman songs that I've been playing on my own. I've never really done that before, but I've slowly been working some of those into the set while playing at the Elora Brewing Company here in town.
Nice.
Um, and maybe one or two songs by some other folks. We'll see.
I'm very excited for it. Yeah, really love your music and excited for everything that's in store. So talking about listen up, what do you think about the concept? You know, I know you and I have a little bit more of a background on this in this community, right? We met up several times, I think in between January 2025 and then, you know, maybe even into the spring. But just wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, the concept of it, the listening room. Maybe you could talk about your past experiences performing and what you want to get out of the experience.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And a great concept that's um, worked well at uh, lots of venues that I've played at before.
Yeah.
Um, to varying degrees, there's been some places that I've played where there's, notes on all the tables that say like, don't talk or
Yeah.
like, shut up and listen, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and, I played places where the crowd is not told to be quiet and there's ambient noise going on, but it might be just the type of room where you know people get captivated and it just quiets down, and like all of a sudden people realize how much nicer it is when no one's talking and you can hear the musician, and then they can um, vibe on that, and it kind of takes your performance into another level. Really, it can.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it is nice to play in a room where people are just listening and not talking. Um, but I have a good time playing at a bar where people are catching up and reminiscing and having fun too. So
Sure. There's a time and a place for everything, right?
yeah,
And you know, I think it's just nice to have a different platform, right?
yeah.
For a different style of event.
In Elora too, yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
because you and I both know that one of the common places to play here would be the Elora Brewing Company, and it's it can be tourists and people from the community catching up, and maybe they didn't even know you're going to be playing there. They're there for dinner, and you're entertaining people. It is nice to have something to juxtapose that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and like I'd done my fair share of playing there, doing country covers, and you know, it's more about playing songs people are familiar with, entertaining them, maybe even some dancing, right? Singing loud and really projecting in that sort of high style, high for me anyway. But when I got back into doing original folk music, you know, I put out a demo EP there as like a release show, and it was a good room, but I just kind of felt like I wanted a space where I could really focus on storytelling and have a quiet room. And it took me back to an experience about 10 years ago when I had a singer-songwriter open up for a rock band at the McGibbon Hotel in this back room that just kind of sat empty.
Mhm.
Uh, and she was amazing, but people just weren't in the right headspace to receive her music, right?
Mhm.
So I put on a show just for her to headline on the second floor of this Irish pub. And I explained to people, you know, just kind of stay quiet and try not to talk. And I didn't have to really enforce the rule. People just were mesmerized by her, right? And so it just kind of taught me at that time that context really matters,
Mhm.
right? And it depends on the style of music you're doing, and there's so many factors, but it's just nice to have that platform. And I'd like to share that platform with other artists in the community, right? So my hope is to, you know, pair people like yourself up with other people from out of town, and maybe you guys can cross pollinate and you know work on shows together wherever each of you are going, right? So uh, yeah, I I'm excited about it. I'm hoping to partner up with more people. So if you're ever interested in talking again, I'd love that. It's hard to find the time sometimes, but you know, I really would like to see it grow beyond me, and just really happy to get it started. Um, now, I guess for tomorrow, right?
Hmm.
We're gonna have, as I said before, Jordan Fay opening up for you,
Yes.
and then you'll be headlining the show. We have tickets, of course, on Eventbrite, but they'll also be available at the door, so people can definitely check that out. And do you have any other like links or socials, or like if you want to drop any, you know, any places people can find your music?
Yeah, I've got music on all the streaming platforms. Not a lot right now. There's a bunch coming, um, and there's some clips and things like that on the socials to check out. If you look for me, Lee Watson Music,
Yeah.
it'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I've been watching those clips and really liking the lyrics that you're putting there. In particular, one that you talk about fishing. Really, really nice way of explaining that experience and describing it. I thought it was really cool. So Lee, I think that pretty much sums us up for tonight, but just wanted to say thanks so much for joining me
Thank
on this
you.
call, taking the time to speak with me. I'm hoping that we, after the show, maybe get together somewhere, could be my place, and play some tunes. But if not that night, another night in the future, because I think there'll be
Sounds like a great idea.
yeah, some good friendships coming out of these shows here. So yeah, I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to it.
Me too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for chatting again, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
All right.